Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about a 14-team PPR mock draft from the 12th overall draft spot. Now, a 14-team league is obviously much different than a typical 10 or 12-team league. Since the rounds are obviously longer, there's more people, so the depth at the positions obviously fall down much more. The running backs are going to fly off the board before the second round even comes to a close. So I obviously implement a slightly different strategy when it comes to a 10, 12, and 14-team league, and obviously an 8-team league as well. I have a bit of different strategies. So like I said, this is a 14-team PPR mock draft from the 12th overall spot. I got one quarterback, two running backs, two wideouts, a tight end, flex, kicker, defense, and six bench spots as the roster positions for this mock draft. We are drafting on Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard. We're going to be drafting up against ESPN's ADP for drafts right now. We're obviously really close up to draft season. A lot of people have already done their drafts. Some people are probably going to start drafting this weekend. So let's get right into this draft. I'm going to be doing more fantasy content all the way up until the Monday before the NFL season kicks off, and then from there on out, we will not be doing any more draft content. It will only be content for week one, and then past that, every single week I post content on this channel, so please make sure to click that subscribe button to get your edge on your league mates. So after we went ahead and looked at the draft to the 12th spot, the first pick of the draft was Christian McCaffrey, which is pretty much identical to every single league. I've only seen Saquon Barkley go a select few times. After that, we see Ezekiel Elliott, followed by Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Derrick Henry, CEH, Nick Chubb, D-Hop, and Miles Sanders. So interesting to see DeAndre Hopkins go ahead of a wide receiver like Devontae Adams, who in my opinion has that shot to be the wide receiver one in the fantasy football like as a whole. Him and Michael Thomas, in my opinion, are the two best bets to be the number one guy when the year comes to a close. So very heavily dominated by the running back position. Out of the first 11 picks, 9 of them were wide receiver or were running backs. Only 2 were wide receiver, which is pretty typical considering the running backs are going to fall off a goddamn bridge after we make our 2 picks here, since so many are going to go off the board. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Typically, you see Alvin Kamara go ahead of Dalvin Cook. Sometimes you see Kamara go ahead of Ezekiel Elliott. So it is a bit strange that he goes behind Dalvin Cook, but it obviously makes sense because when Dalvin Cook is healthy, he's like a top 3 back guaranteed in fantasy football. None of the other picks really all that shocking besides DeAndre Hopkins, but it seems like he's going in the first round in a lot of leagues for some reason ahead of other guys that, in my opinion, are just much better options for 2020. Now, reports are right now that Joe Mixon is having migraine issues. Initially, it came out, oh, he's holding out, right? That's why he's not playing, because he's holding out. And now they're saying that he's dealing with migraines. Optimism that he will return soon. That's what's keeping him out of practice. So I don't know, to be completely honest with you, what's happening with Joe Mixon. I don't know if he's having migraines. I don't know if the guy's going to fucking hold out because there's conflicting reports. So right now, I would still draft Joe Mixon and feel pretty confident in him playing week one, obviously, unless he ends up holding out. So it is kind of a dicey situation. So if you're at this spot right now today, I might fade Joe Mixon. Not really fade him. I just might not pick him at this spot. But then tomorrow, if it comes out, oh, the guy's just having migraines, he doesn't plan on holding out, because there were no reports before camp started that Joe Mixon would hold out. And if he was going to hold out, he probably wouldn't have been practicing the last couple of weeks. So now here we're going to go ahead and snag my favorite running back still available besides Joe Mixon. That is Austin Eckler of the LA Superchargers. Now, I also love Josh Jacobs, but personally, since Josh Jacobs is ranked lower here, I think he may be able to fall to me in the second round. Joe Mixon is a guy that I feel like I'm happily taking inside like the first 6, 7 picks of the draft due to my love for him, but learning about the migraines don't really concern me, but it's the fact that they said he was holding out, so I don't really know. I don't think it should be too big of a deal, but right now, I will aid with the side of caution here and go with Austin Eckler of the LA Chargers. I would not be surprised if Austin Eckler legitimately had 2,000 combined yards. The guy's going to be a beast in the rushing game, and he's going to be used heavily in the pass catching game as well. When Melvin Gordon was gone, this guy was a fucking monster for your fantasy football team, and he was after when Melvin Gordon came back, but just obviously wasn't as good since he wasn't the head honcho back, the workhorse back, but he will be this season in 2020 without Mr. Melvin Gordon. Obviously, Melvin Gordon got shipped to the Denver Broncos. So after we went with Austin Eckler, Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill, and Chris Godwin came off the board. So here I'm willing to take that risk on Joe Mixon. If he does hold out, I don't think he will. I'm just trying to aid at the side of caution. Like I said, we're going to go with Joe Mixon here of the Cincinnati Bengals. I have him ranked as my number 5 ranked running back for the year. I think Joe Mixon balls the fuck out in 2020. We really saw him have an excellent end to his season. His season started off not too strong, but once they were involving him a lot more, giving him way more touches, the guy was skyrocketing. His fantasy fantasy points. I really think we see a lot more of that in 2020 compared to what we saw, obviously, earlier in 2019. So everyone with Joseph Mixon, Kenyon Drake came off the board, followed by Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Allen Robinson, Kenny Galladay, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, Pat Mahomes, Juju Smith-Schuster, Adam Thielen, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham Jr., Lamar Jackson, Leonard Fournette, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper, James Conner, Zach Ertz, and A.J. Brown to start off the draft. So the first round very heavily dominated by the running back position. Then we see the second round you really start to see the wide receivers come off the board, which is surprising considering in a deeper or in a very large league like this, a 14-team league, you typically see running backs really go heavily here. But a lot of people, I guess, are aiding at the side of caution because it's very safe. I've said that word like 12 fucking times in this video. I guess it's the word of the goddamn day or something. But since wide receivers are they're not actually safer, they're just perceived as safer, so that's maybe why people are going with them. After Evans, we saw Moore, Woods. Actually, I read all this off. So Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson coming off the board in the second and third round. I'm not touching a quarterback early in 14-team leagues. I just think your running back value is going to be completely shit. Not your running back value, but your running back core is going to be absolutely fucking decimated, like Lana Rhodes' asshole after a couple of rounds. So I don't know. I mean, that's just not what I'm doing, Pat Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. Tight ends, though, Travis Kelce and George Kittle and Zach Ertz all coming off the board. Same thing goes with tight ends. I'm not really trying to draft a tight end in a 14-team league since I believe I can find one later, and I don't really feel like they're as important in a 14-team league, whereas I think they are more important in an 8 or 10-team league because the positional advantage is just so much more important. So like I said, we started the draft off with the two running backs of Austin Eckler and Joseph Mixon by 10 by 9. I don't really heavily look too deep into buys, though, all that much in my opinion. So now looking at running backs, Gurley, Carson, Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Gordon. Not too many guys that I really want to drag onto my team here in the third round, so I'd much rather just go with the safer kind of pick, draft the wide receiver here since we already have two running backs. That's why you draft two running backs early, and then maybe dip into the running back core in the fourth round if one of these guys is still there. If not, I'll probably just go double wide receiver. So here we're going to go ahead and draft Baby Chark, Baby Chark to be our wide receiver one. I love DJ Chark of the Jacksonville Jaguars. DJ Chark had an excellent second season in his NFL career last year with Gardner Minshew, and I believe he plays just as well in 2020, if not better. That defense in Jacksonville is not very good. They're going to have to be throwing the ball a whole bunch to be able to go back into these games, and I think Gardner Minshew is very capable of that, and I think that DJ Chark, being the wide receiver one there, is going to pay dividends for you in the third round. I'll happily take him as the wide receiver one of my team in a 14-team league. So after we went Chark, Todd Gurley came out the board, followed by Terry McLaurin, David Johnson, and Chris Carson. So now we're looking either way, maybe running back, maybe wide receiver, but I'd probably edge the wide receiver here and then go with a bunch of running backs in a row in the 5th, 6th, and probably 7th round due to the fact that I think some may fall at wide receiver here. I want to go ahead and get a guy that I feel a lot more confident in than I have in the past, but I do kind of want to draft Tyler Lockett here since I feel like Tyler Lockett is probably the safest pick at this spot. The guy's guaranteed to get over 1,000 yards, pretty much does it every single year, even on a run-heavy offense. Russell Wilson still manages to get the ball in Tyler Lockett's hand. Tyler Lockett has been a very safe pick for years now, and I'll happily draft him here at the 403 of my draft. I think Tyler Lockett has an excellent year yet again. Obviously, last season dealt with injury. He had the flu for a game or two, and he just wasn't looking like the old Tyler Lockett, but I think he returns back to form in 2020, and I'll happily have him as my wide receiver 2 to start off the draft since we have Eckler, Joe Mixon, Baby Chark, and Tyler Lockett, which is a very solid starting 4 to my roster in a 14-team deeper league. So after Mark Andrews, we see Melvin Gordon come off the board, followed by Keenan Allen, Le'Veon Bell, DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton, Stephon Diggs, John O'God Taylor, T.Y. Hilton, Devontae Parker, Dak Prescott, Tyler Boyd, Darren Waller, Mark Ingram, Evan Ingram, a double Ingram back-to-back Michael Jordan 96-97. Woo! After that, we see Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, Hollywood Brown, A.J. Brown, and Michael Gallup. Very interesting that we see 3 quarterbacks go in the 5th round. Not actually super interesting since it's kind of something that I assume is going to happen at this point. After you see a couple of quarterbacks go off the board, we saw Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, then Dak Prescott, then people get really worried about the quarterback position, which causes a run like this to occur where someone picked Russell Wilson here, and the next guy goes, holy shit, if I wait until the 6th round, I'm not going to get my guy. pulls the trigger on Deshaun Watson. Then that next guy goes, oh man, I'm not going to be able to get Kyler. I'm not going to be able to get this guy in the next round. Holy shit, I have to draft them. And then they draft them. Same thing happens at the tight end position. It's essentially the most scarce position, I would say, in fantasy football because there's really only 32 starting tight ends, 32 starting quarterbacks. But it's the same thing with running backs, but which is what you see with that. You see it with all positions, really, but in the middle of the draft is really when you start to see quarterback and tight end runs come off the board. Interesting as well at tight end. Kittle and Kelsey go in the second round, and then Ertz in the third, followed by Andrews in the fourth, and then Evan Ingram and Darren Waller in the fifth. In some leagues, you're going to be seeing that happen. In other leagues, you might just see a clump of them go at the beginning where Kittle, Kelsey, and then typically Andrews in like the second and third round, and then you'll see like fifth or sixth round, you'll see like Ertz, Waller, Ingram, all these guys fly off the board. It's very different depending on who's in your league, but that's why I try not to hop on the runs at the position. I typically just go ahead and wait. Like we've seen a bunch of wide receivers go off the board, so you just stay calm at the wide receiver position here, and you just draft another running back here in the fifth round. Obviously, David Montgomery here would typically be a good pick, but now reports are that he's going to miss 2 to 4 games, which in my opinion is kind of optimistic. Not 2 to 4 games, 2 to 4 weeks, I should say, from today. So the NFL season kicks off 2 weeks from now, today on Thursday. They obviously don't play until Sunday. But with that said, I highly doubt he's in the game week 1. I would be shocked if he was playing week 1, in my personal opinion. I think that they're going to wait. They're going to wait it out. He'll probably play like week 2, week 3, week 4, sometime in that range. Now, is he worth a 5th round pick for that? Probably yes, because I think he's going to be great and a great flex for my team. Is he worth it with the roster we started out with? I don't know, because I feel like the first couple of weeks in a 14-team league, every week matters here. You really need to win. You play every single team pretty much, I believe, except for one, because it's week 1 through 13 of the regular season, week 14, 15, and 16 on the playoffs. So you're playing pretty much every single team. Every single game is very important, and with your roster not being as deep, obviously, since it's a 14-team league, your roster still is deep, but the depth isn't as good at every position. I don't know if I'd be willing to take the shot on David Montgomery and wait a couple of weeks for him to get healthy. I am not sure if I would want to do that. So here I'd probably go with Kareem Hunt, probably the safer pick here. I think Kareem Hunt is going to have an excellent season. I understand that this offense, he is not the number 1 guy on the team. So drafting the number 2 running back on a team in the 5th round typically would be an asinine move. But in this situation, I really believe that Kareem Hunt is going to be seeing a shit ton of carries. Under Kevin Stefanski, running back Dalvin Cook last year balled the fuck out. You want to know why? Because they were the 4th most run-heavy team in the NFL under Kevin Stefanski as the O coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings. Now he's the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Why would they not run the ball with 2 of the best backs in the NFL? 2 top 12 guys, arguably, at the running back position. The 1-2 punch of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Obviously, Nick Chubb is going to be seeing a majority of the carries, but that doesn't mean that Kareem Hunt won't be involved, especially in a PPR league. I would not be shocked at all if Kareem Hunt was catching 4 to 5 balls a game and was running out there as a wide receiver. We saw it last year. I think we could see it even more this season, since it's very unclear who the wide receiver 3 is of the Cleveland Browns behind Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham, and with Jarvis Landry uncertain to start week 1. Personally, I think he will, but if he doesn't, that would bode even better for Mr. Kareem Hunt here in the 5th round. I really like that pick. I think he's a solid flex here, and we may be able to snag another running back here in the 6th round. So after we went ahead and snagged Mr. Kareem Hunt of the Cleveland Browns, we can see that, let's see who came off the board after that. We see DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, Devin Singletary, and Julian Edelman. So David Montgomery still falling in like the 5th or 6th round. Doesn't really surprise me at all. I think the guy's amazing. I think it just will take a couple of weeks for him to get healthy. Don't be surprised if he misses the first 2 weeks of the season. After David Montgomery, like I said, Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is a guy that I've completely hit with the Michael Jordan fucking fadeaway. I don't want anything to do with Devin Singletary in 2020. Devin Singletary, I just believe, is not the head honcho running back there. I don't think he's going to be a workhorse running back in Buffalo. I just personally believe that Zach Moss is going to be more involved than most people think. Reports out of camp even show that he will be more involved than most people think, considering he's dominating in the pass-catching game, dominating pass blocking, dominating running the goddamn ball. So why would they just use Devin Singletary? Spoiler alert. They are going to not just use Devin fucking Singletary. So don't buy in to the Devin Singletary fake news that a lot of people are buying into. So now we're drafting another fucking running back. I'll wait for wide receiver, and then we'll hammer a couple wide receivers later. So we're going to go with running back Cam Akers. Now, he is definitely a risk here at this spot as a rookie. If you want to be safer, you can go with James White, or you can go with Ronald Jones. James White definitely the safest pick out of the bunch. But now with Darrell Henderson hurt, I am all aboard the Cam Akers train. I always have been aboard the Cam Akers train. I thought it would take a couple of times. Can Cam Akers separate himself from the running back by committing the second half of the season? I don't think that it will take that long. I really think that with Darrell Henderson being hurt early in the offseason, not in the offseason, I guess in training camp, he's been hurt. I think Cam Akers is going to merge past him, and I think he is not going to look back. He's not going to have to fucking look in the mirror, adjust the mirror to see behind him. He's just going to fucking speed past him and run all the way to the house. I love Cam Akers. I love how Sean McVay used a running back. Now, I understand, Sean McVay didn't use Todd Gurley, right? Blah, 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 blah. That's probably what you're thinking, right? But Todd Gurley has knee arthritis. Cam Akers, all Cam Akers has is a deficiency, is huge cock deficiency. He's got that third leg. He's going to be thrusting into his opponents in 2020. I love Cam Akers here, but if you want to be safe, you can definitely go with James White. So I'm going to go with the higher upside pick of Akers here. Since I feel very safe with Mixon, Eckler, and Kareem Hunt, I think Cam Akers could be a guy that a couple of weeks into the season you could start. Maybe even week 1, if Henderson is out, you could probably start. But it may take a couple of weeks like that report says. But I personally hope that it doesn't, considering the fact that with Henderson out, I think Akers will be able to stand above the other running backs. So now at the draft, looking at the draft board after we went Cam Akers, Will Fuller came out the board, followed by Raheem Mostert, Marvin Jones, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Higbee, Brandon Cooks, Christian Kirk, Jameson, Crowder, Hayden Hurst, god damn it, someone sniped me at tight end, Ronald Jones, James White, Sterling Shepard, Tariq Cohen, J.K. Dobbins, C.D. Lamb, John Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Jordan Howard, Golden Tate, Josh Allen, Matt Breida, and Matt Ryan. So we have definitely a very, very diverse roster. 4 running backs, 2 wide receivers, pretty solid approach to start off the draft. Typically a start that I like to have, typically not going to be picking a tight end or quarterback for a couple more rounds. Don't pick a kicker or defense yet. Either not going to do that until like the last 2 picks, which is because the reason behind that is because if you draft one early, so you draft the defense in the 9th round, then you could have had, say, another running back here or another wide receiver here that really could have helped your team when in reality, now you have a fucking defense that you're probably going to end up cutting 2 weeks into the season, and I like to stream the defensive position. So if you guys have enjoyed this video thus far, I know you've made it like 15 minutes in probably by now, 7 rounds deep. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it, and you're still watching, so you probably have. So if you're not already subscribed, please make sure to click that subscribe button. It's free, and I put out content every single day to help you guys dominate your 2020 fantasy football league. It starts with the draft, but if you pay attention all season, you watch all the videos, you are going to be slapping up your opponent. You're going to lay the murder game down on them like your name was OJ goddamn Simpson. So now we are at the pick 7.12, and we're probably looking wide receiver here. We already have a solid 4 starting running backs, so we could really look at the later wide receivers that I think have some nice upside. So at wide receiver, there's a lot of solid options still available. Anthony Miller, Darius Slayton, Mike Williams, who's hurt. Henry Ruggs is a guy I'm not really loving all that much. Jerry Jeudy could have some upside. I love McCole Hardman. There's a lot of guys still available, but I want to click on Deebo Samuel real quick because the reports are that he may be good to play week 1. Now, I'm not sure. It doesn't say that here, but the reports are he may play week 1. I think that is complete and utter bullshit. I don't think he's going to play for probably the first month of the season. I don't think he plays till October. Now, would I draft him here? No, because I need a wide receiver that could potentially play. If I draft Slayton or if I draft Deebo here, I know he's not going to probably play for the first month, so I would not do that. I'd much rather look different ways. Now, Anthony Miller is a guy I am so high on. I love Anthony Miller's breakout potential in 2020. He is going to maximize production like this report says. The wide receiver coach talking about getting on his knees to blow Anthony Miller, and I believe Anthony Miller is going to have an excellent season with 9-inch Nick Foles, who the reports are saying are inches ahead of the competition. Get it? Because the guy is big dick Nick Foles. That's a real funny fucking comment by Roto World. I love Anthony Miller. Really high on him this season. I think he's solid as my wide receiver 3 with some solid upside on a week-to-week basis, especially if the Chicago Bears aren't as awful as some people may believe. I'm not too sure. I love the Bears. I think they might finish dead last in that division, but that doesn't mean they're going to finish with like fucking 5 wins. They might win 7 games and still finish dead last in that division since that division is so competitive. After we went with Anthony Miller, Phillip Lindsay came off the board, followed by Latavius Murray, Tevin Coleman, and Kerryon Johnson. Woo, woo, woo. So now we're going to probably hit the double wide receiver smack here in the 7th and 8th round. Like I said, guys, if you enjoyed, please subscribe. And this 8th round pick is brought to you by my sponsor and my partner over at manscaped.com. Use code Notorious at checkout for 20% off, as well as free shipping. If you want your family jewels to look pristine, to look beautiful, to be that beautiful masterpiece or that beautiful gold statue that Indiana Jones found in that hole after that ball was fucking chasing him, that's what you're getting on Manscaped. Your junk will look like that pristine A1, so please make sure to check out Manscaped. Get the Lawnmower 3.0. I love it. It's great. I've used it before. It even has a nice fucking flashlight on there, so you can see in the dark when you're cutting it in the dark. You got to make sure you can use that at all times. It's safe to use in the shower as well, so I'd really appreciate if you guys check that out. Use code Notorious to check out for 20% off as well as free shipping. So now back into the draft with our 8th pick, like I said, sponsored by Manscaped. So now here, we're probably going to be dipping back into the wide receiver well. I already feel pretty confident with my running backs, and there is a guy probably in the 9th round. Hopefully Zach Moss is able to fall to me there. I will probably just hop on the wide receiver here. I will reach down a little bit, but I think he's going to be around an 8th, 9th round pick in a lot of 14-team leagues, probably 8th, considering obviously the 8th round is more like the 9th or 10th round in a normal type of league because the extra picks every single round add up once you're super deep into the draft. Mecole Hardman, obviously not necessarily the wide receiver 2 yet on the team, but I assume he will be by the start of the season. I really am not scared of Sammy Watkins at all. I think that the Robinson guy on the team is also pretty good, D. Robinson. I forgot his first name. Very good as well. They're all fucking fast as shit. But I think Mecole Hardman really has elevated himself to be that wide receiver too. So I'll happily take him here at this pick at the 803. Obviously a high upside pick. Not a guy that I'm starting in the lineup week 1. But he will have those boom bust games in a 14-team league that you may need to win because you throw him in your flex and this guy could have a firecracker of a week where he fucking butt fucks a defense and wins you your week at the wide receiver position and your flex just absolutely slays your opponent. So after we went with Mecole Hardman, Duke Johnson came out the board, followed by Deebo Samuel, then Zach Moss went, so that was kind of, I figured that might end up happening. Very disappointing for me because I love Zach Moss. After that, Jalen Reagor, followed by Antonio Gibson, Darius Slayton, Mike made it, Mike Williams, Marlon Mack, Darrell Henderson, Alexander Madison, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, Preston Williams, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, Hunter Henry, Austin Hoopgod, Tony Pollard, Rob Gronkowski, Curtis Samuel, and the Carson Wentz, followed by the 49ers defense. Don't be the asshole who drafts a defense in the 9th round. Wait all the way until the last round of the draft or the second to last round. So a whole shit ton of quarterbacks have came off the board as well as tight end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 teams, or 10 maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 teams have a defense, or a quarterback. Holy shit. 9 teams have one, which means that 5 do not, since this is a 14-team league. So I'm going to continue to wait on the quarterback position and the tight end position since my favorite tight end target kind of went off the board. So I'll just take one of these later guys and be pretty happy about it. So I'm just going to go ahead here and build some more running back depth here probably. I think it might be a little reach here to go running back, though, which would be the problem because I'm not all bought in on Michelle at all because I'm worried. It doesn't seem like he's off the PUP now, but it doesn't seem like he's going to start to begin the season. I have no fucking idea, to be completely honest with you. Oh, this is going to be a real tough situation here in New England. I'm still on the Damian Harris train, so I'm just not going to draft Sony Michel. You could probably honestly draft both and just have that whole fucking backfield locked down, which is something that I would not be opposed to. I'm not going to do it in this draft, though. Drew Brees, Tom Brady still available. I'm probably going to go quarterback here if I'm being completely honest with you. I feel comfortable with the wide receivers we already have, so I want to go ahead and get a quarterback. I think waiting at tight end would be our best bet, though. So it's either between here Tom Brady and Drew Brees. It's really picking the litter here. I think Drew Brees is going to throw a shit ton of yards. I think Tom Brady's going to throw a shit ton of yards. Both have amazing weapons around them. Obviously, Drew Brees only has one wide receiver, but he also has a running back that's pretty much a wide receiver in Alvin Kamara. Tom Brady has 2 of the best wide receivers in the league in Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, maybe the best tandem at the wide receiver position in the whole fucking NFL. So you can go either way there. I'm more on the Tom Brady train, but don't fucking get mad at me because I really think that Drew Brees is going to have a great season as well. So I wouldn't buy too heavily on either guy. I think that either guy could be a great option. If you had Michael Thomas, I'd draft Drew Brees in that situation. If you had a Mike Evans or a Chris Godwin, then I'd draft Tom Brady to get the connection. That's pretty much how I would go through that. Either way, I'd probably flip a fucking coin and just go with the guy you believe will be better. I'll go with TB12 in TB there at that pick. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it thus far. After Tom Brady, we've got Drew Brees to come off the board, followed by Matthew Stafford, Mike Gesicki, and Jared Cook. So I read the room correctly. I saw no one back here had a quarterback, so I went for one. Boom, got the guy I wanted. Otherwise, I might have been left without him and probably had to pick Matt Stafford, which I wouldn't have been too pissed off at, but I feel like Tom Brady's definitely safer since he doesn't really have any injury concern. So now looking at the board, we're definitely going to wait on tight end. Every single fucking team has the tight end at this point, so we'll probably just hop back onto the running back and wide receiver train here to close out the draft and then draft a tight end probably like Jonnu Smith maybe next round or the round after that. In a 14-team league, though, this is really the only exception to me being really against drafting multiple quarterbacks in a 14-team league where a lot of teams do take 2 quarterbacks. I feel like it's almost essential to because then when your quarterback's on bye, you're going to have to be searching through absolute dog shit, and you don't necessarily want to be losing any week because you have to shift through dog shit. But whereas in a 12 or 10-team league, the quarterback position that's going to be on the waiver wire is just going to be so much more deep. In that kind of a league. So now it's time to draft running backs or wide receivers here. Maybe even a tight end to secure one, but I'll probably just go running back or wide receiver. I need one spot open for a quarterback, so we're probably going to go running back, wide receiver, and a quarterback to close out the draft. So we're going to go wide receiver first here since I'm not all bought in on any of these guys really, so we're going to go with a wide receiver here. You can go with Lazard. You can go with Harry. You could go with Michael Pittman. Those are really the big names there. And then, obviously, if you're waiting later, you can go Randall Cobb. But for me, I'm going to go ahead here and attack the wide receiver position. I love N'Keal Harry. I fucking talk him up every video. We're going to draft him. Really bought in on N'Keal Harry this year. I think there's a reason why Bill Belichick drafted the motherfucker in the first round, and that was to be great. He obviously gets hurt last year. They don't really give him all that much opportunity because he's hurt. Then Tom Brady comes back, and Tom Brady just doesn't throw the fucking ball to guys who he doesn't have a great connection with. So that's why he kind of struggled in his first season in New England. And mainly because he got hurt, though. So the tight ends are really still all there looking down at them. I'm going to recap, though, after our pick. Brashad Perriman, Boston Scott, defense. AP, Sammy Watkins, Sony Michel, Keyshawn Vaughn, Chase Edmonds, defense. Alan Lazard, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton, Robbie Anderson. So teams are drafting backup quarterbacks. No team has yet, but in most leagues people do. Robbie Anderson, Naheem Hines, Justin Jackson, and then Patriots defense, A.J. Dillon, Darrington Evans, Saints defense, and DeAndre Washington. Notice how we're in the 11th round and the running backs are all completely gone. That's why you fucking draft running backs early in deeper kind of leagues like this. So now we're going to go running back again, dip into the Damian Harris well. I just believe in him personally. I personally think that he is going to be good. I personally think he has the potential to become the running back one if Sony Michel gets hurt again. The guy does have arthritis knee, so just like with Todd Gurley, it's definitely possible that the guy goes down for the count. I guess Georgia running backs just are bred with that arthritis knee. After after Damian Harris, we see Dallas Goedert, followed by Jack Doyle, Jared Goff, and Deshaun Jackson. So we're going to draft our tight end here since they're going to have to start for our team. And there's an easy pick here, and that is Jonnu Smith of the Tennessee Titans. So long neck Jonnu, this motherfucker has a wide-ass neck if you haven't noticed on the screen. No disrespect to Jonnu Smith because the guy beat the shit out of me. He's getting praise in practice. Jonnu Smith was a guy that I was talking up all offseason. But now with the departure of Delaney Walker, it seems like Jonnu Smith is going to have an excellent season in 2020. Now, I understand this is a very run-heavy team, and that's kind of some of my disgust with A.J. Brown. I'm not disgusted with him. I think he'll do fine. But it's kind of why I'm not rising him up to be that kind of a guy that a lot of people are, is because I think that they're going to be run-heavy. Now, with A.J. Brown, another reason why I think he's going to decrease is because I think Jonnu Smith is going to be very involved in 2020. So I'll happily draft him here in the 12th round. And if he isn't shit for the first 2 weeks, you just cut his ass. You pick up probably Chris Herndon or someone else off the waiver wire that I think will be easily I would happily start at my tight end position. After our Jonnu pick, we see Paris Campbell, Chris Thompson, Michael Pittman, Noah Fant, Giovanni Bernard, Blake Jarwin, Chris Herndon, the Chicago Bears, Danny Dimes, Big Ben, the Chiefs defense, Jamal Williams, Carlos Hyde, Josh Kelly, Ito Smith, defense, Ian Thomas, Anthony McFarland, Bryce Love, Larry Fitz, and Joe Burrow. So now we got to go ahead and snag our backup quarterback and then get the fuck out of this draft by drafting a defense and a kicker. So for our backup quarterback, we're going to go with my main man, Gardner Minshew II. This guy he made a fucking joke about, if you draft him in the first round. It's actually true. If you draft him in the first round of your draft, they'll send you a 30 rack of Bud Light. So if you want that, you can go ahead and draft him in the first round. I think he does have top 12 potential, though. Not worth a first round pick, not even worth a first 10 round pick. But in the 11th round, if you're drafting 2 quarterbacks, you want him, go ahead and snag him because I think he definitely has top 12 potential. But you don't even need to draft him there. He falls all the way to the last couple picks of the draft in every single league, especially since their defense is going to be down for the count. And we already have DJ Chark, so we got that nice wombo combo of Gardner Minshew and DJ Chark when I play them, probably just 1 week when fucking Tom Brady's out, or if Tom Brady has a garbage matchup. So after we drafted Gardner Minshew, Baker came out the board, followed by D.D. Westbrook, Harrison Bucker, and Justin Tucker the fucker. So now we're going to draft our 3rd ranked kicker, and that is Willie Lutz. If you want our kicker rankings, go ahead and check out my video from a couple days ago. Kicker rankings. You can literally just watch the video, look at the screen. It has all the rankings, but you should watch the whole thing, or you could, just put it on and then walk away. Shh. Don't tell them I told you that. you can do that as well to give me some watch time. If you guys do end up enjoying, I hope that you guys watch through the full video, or that you just check it out for like 5-10 minutes. That helps my watch time and helps the video go out to more people. So after we drafted Willie Lutz, Jalen Rashad came off the board, followed by Ryan Tannigod, Kirk Cousins, third leg Greg Zuerlein, Hunter Renfrow, Raquel Armstead, Malcolm Brown, Eric Ebron, Irv Smith, third leg Greg Olsen, Jerick McKinnon, bunch of kickers, bunch of defense. Shout out to my old bitch lame, but my young ho coup. And now it's time to draft our defense. You want a defense playing a shitty offense week 1, or a defense that you perceive playing a easier opponent week 1? So, the normal pick is gone of the Chargers, so we're going to go with the Eagles against the Washington football team week 1, and hope Washington kind of struggles in their first game back without preseason. So, we got a B+ on this team, but it is an A fucking plus in my heart. To recap our roster, our quarterback is Tom Brady, our running backs are Eckler, Joe Mixon, our wide receivers are DJ Chark and Tyler Lockett, our tight end is Jonnu Smith, our flex is Kareem Hunt, but we could easily flex him out for Hardman, Harry, or Miller if we wanted to. Defense is the Eagles, kicker is Lutz, our bench is comprised of Cam Akers, Anthony Miller, McCole Hardman, N'Keal Harry, Damian Harris, and Gardner Minshew. So thank you guys all for watching. If you ended up enjoying, please make sure to click that subscribe button. Please make sure to check out the Patreon as well down below for the draft guide. I love you all. Have a great rest of your guys' day. Goodbye.